This is the Bar Steward's Enquiry.
You're talking absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
In what way?
You were an underachiever in life. I saved your bacon one time. You were gone.
You handled that well. I couldn't save you. But you did the right thing.
Well, that's why you don't know anything about racing, John.
I didn't say I do.
Right?
I'm saying that...
What have you contributed to racing? You're one of these take-out merchants. Take out all you can.
And a very warm welcome to the Bar Stewards Enquiry Weekend Podcast. My name's Lee Keys of systembet.co.uk. And again, always by my side, he's John Leng of John Joe's Blogspot to chew the fat over this weekend's fair prior to the big meeting at Royal Ascot next week. Now, before we get on to the show, I'd just like to announce that on Sunday, we've got a special Sunday sermon preview for the royal meeting, and joining us will be the superb Gloucestershire lass Catherine Fry, who is second to none in terms of silky skills and banter. So I hope you enjoyed Catherine last week. She's on the show on Sunday, and with her as well is a fan of the show, Lorne Marvo off Twitter, Chris Edmond. I know him well. And the Sunday show should be a corker because we're giving our best anti-Perth bets for the royal meeting. So that's not to miss. The usual banter with the four of us and our best bets for the royal meeting. So that is a show you cannot miss on Sunday. Now then, John, good to speak to you, sir. How are you?
Good evening, mate.
Yeah, good evening to you, sir. I mean, it's been a bit of a strange week, really, because we had the derby last week, and now it feels like just that little bit of a lull. You know, it's a bit of a. And I noticed like you've been quiet with your bets. I've not done much betting action this week, and I'll tell you, I'll start the show off actually with we've had a few questions from our listeners regarding last week's derby. So I thought let's kick off the show then with some questions. We've got plenty this week, 7 in fact, which is quite a record for us. We get 7 questions. We're getting more popular.
It is when 6 of them around. Why don't you? You're both pissed off.
You're right there. Right, so I'll kick it off the show. Paul Richardson, avid listener. Hello, Paul. He said, did Gosden and Shadwell overthink running Derab in the French derby? Does he mean Gosden and Judamont? He said Shadwell, but I think Judamont. Derab's Khalid Abdullah. So it's not Shadwell.
You've been very pedantic there, pulling the lad over that there, mate.
Well, you know, just you know. Anyway,
you know what he meant. You know, you're just shivering the lad. The first question he sends in, he gets one under the rib cage. You know.
Yeah, it's disgraceful. Anyway, so he makes a good point. Actually, I think this is a good question. He said, did they overthink running Derab in the French instead of the English derby, as there's only one derby, and he had as much potential improvement as any, and a stouter pedigree than many that were taking their chance in the Epsom race. Well, John, over to you on that.
I think they could have run him in our race rather than go to France, to be honest. He only had the two runs, hadn't he? No, 3, sorry.
He had one last year.
Yeah.
Two this season.
I think you're just adding to the stress factor of shipping when you're going to France, as well as running in a Group 1 from Maiden. And I think it will probably have been a bit easier on the horse to run it at Epsom. You could have also, I know it's Martin Harley's ride or something, isn't it, because of the way it's put in settling it, but I think they might have gone for something a bit more dynamic, shall we say, if they run it here. And when it won its Maiden, I said I'd run it in the derby.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
I mean, there's still time for it to turn out to be a decent horse, isn't there? And there's still time for derby when it show itself to be a boat. We don't know yet. I don't know, but yeah, for me they could have run it anyway.
I mean, the way I saw it was it wasn't a vintage year.
No.
I never saw this year's Derby as a vintage year. We've been quite barren in terms of Derby winners in recent times, in terms of quality, and I just felt that it was a race that they could have probably taken the chance rather than the French. I mean, they must have spat the coffee out when when the draw came out and he was drawn, I think, 14 or 15 or something, which you can't win. I mean, from that draw at Shanty, you just can't win, because especially for an horse that's keen, because you got to slot in. And so I think that was in beat after the draw. So
I mean, it's funny, really. I mean, they play all about Epsom and all its contours and what have you, but really, when you think about it, the French Derby's running a draw-dependent shithole, isn't it? Really, when you think.
Absolutely. 1 mile, 2.5 furlongs, or I think that's the trip. Correct me if I'm wrong, listeners, but I think
it's right and down 3/4 of the way, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, it literally is like it's quite a sweeping turn as well, and then literally when you're in the straight, it's you've what three furlongs to get yourself sorted and in your run, and I just think, like I say, if people sort of like wax lyrical about St Mark's Basilica, but if you backed it pre-play, you must have spent it halfway, because it was in a perfect position just behind the pace, getting a lovely turn, settle. Like I said, we complain about our tracks, but like you said, Shanty to run a French Derby, waste of time. So yeah, Paul, we both think we'd have ran Derby in Derby just to see where we're at, really. And there's not much kudos for a French Derby winner unless you go on to do extraordinary things after. Right, next question, and it's stay on the Derby. One more question on the Derby, and then we'll move on. Which is why did the Derby winner go from 40s to 16s in 2 minutes when nobody claims to have seen it? Is the pandemic the last nail in the coffin for the on-course books? John Swarfiga Nolan with the question, John.
Well, there'll be a siren going off in a minute, won't there? Guarantee that. I don't know. I mean, I think there's probably the exchanges are driving some of these SPs now, and I think this got a little bit of a tickle on the exchanges, didn't it? Just beforehand. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, they could have backed it with Mate of their heart's content. I didn't give it a cat and else chance after Lingfield.
Yeah, I have to concur with you there. He did, especially from that draw as well.
Yeah,
everything just said no.
I wouldn't have thought it would have been fast enough to get any kind of position running up that hill.
No,
and well,
it looks every inch a ledger horse. I mean, they'll run it in the King George, but they can't even contemplate going back to 1.25 miles. So it shows you what type of a horse it is. And I think, for me, the article that Chris Cook wrote in the Racing Post, where he says, it was like, really, it takes a lot of money to send a horse from 40 to 1 to 16 to 1.
Yeah.
Well, I disagree with that strongly, because as we've seen in recent derbies, there's been quite a few, recent gambles, and the markets on the exchanges aren't what they used to be. They cannot hold the price, especially big prices. Literally, you can. I mean, I could ask for £50, £100 at, say, something at 40s, even in a derby, and you're struggling. In this day and age, you're struggling. It used to be a gimme, no problem. It's the derby. You're on. Now it's all changed, and so I don't agree with Chris Cook saying it takes money to move it, because I reckon if I'd have wanted £3,000 on it, and trying to get £3,000 on Betfair, and the books have no opinion these days anyway. They go off Betfair prices. If I'm trying to get £3,000 on, I would probably knock it at least half it, trying to get 3,000 on, because there's no one there to match. So that's my take on it, John. That I just think, like, I agree. There was probably no gamble. Only someone that might be a bit shrewd felt that it was the wrong price and smashed it in. That was it, and it doesn't take much. Probably didn't have a lot on it. Right, next question off the derby now. How much longer do you think the 1 meeting a day rule, John, will stay in place? Because jockeys who are not at the top table, as in some cases, possibly only getting a ride a day, I mean, this is not good for them. And surely it's contributing to small fields, as some owners will be reluctant to put, say, young lads or lasses on inexperienced if they're lining one up for D-Day. So, and that with poor prize money, you know, what's the solution here? Do you think this? Do you think jockeys should be allowed to ride at more than 1 meeting?
Yeah, I do. I think we'll revisit this at the end of the year, probably. I can see Struthers and the PGA getting involved, and we have a lot of genuine jockeys who more or less solidify their financial positions during the middle of the summer when they can ride at 2 meetings. They'll probably find they're struggling this year, and as a result, I think they'll go to the PGA first. And I think Paul Struthers will probably make an excellent case for the jockeys being allowed to ride at more than 1 meeting. And I can see it getting binned for next year.
Well, for one thing, I mean, I agree with you. I think Paul Struthers is the first port of call. Secondly, if any jockey wants to challenge it legally, I don't think the BHA's got a leg to stand on.
That's restraint of trade, isn't it?
Well, you're stopping someone from basically working, which I don't know the employment laws in and out, but certainly from my perspective, there has to be government legislation in place to say, no, you can't. A bit like truck drivers where they can drive for 4 hours, then they've got to stop. That kind of thing.
But where it falls down, they're classing 1 meeting as your 4-hour driving session. Well, that's all right. You got 6 mounts. If you were going to 1 meeting for 1 mount, you haven't exactly been driving the truck. You've only parked it up.
Yeah.
So they haven't got a leg to stand on.
No.
You'll get voted out.
Good point, Carl Swanson. Agreed. That needs changing. I think as well that it is very unfair on the jockeys that don't get as much rides, and that's why they're becoming landscape gardeners and everything else, because landscape gardening pays more than being a journeyman jockey, and I think that's a bit unfair for the young people that's dedicated their life to the sport.
Definitely.
Anyway, next question. We move on to a betting question, and this is from Chris B on Twitter, and he says, "What killed the in-running?" He said, Betfair, drones, affordability checks, COVID, or something else. Well, Chris, I mean, I'll start by answering this. I don't think necessarily the in-running game's killed. There's a lot of problems with in-running at the moment, as you pointed out, drones, which it's actually put the track lads off paying big money to rent boxes, because obviously the drones are providing picks of similar, well, not like just slightly slower speed than actually being at the track. So there's very little advantage in renting a box. So and the thing is, so more people have got access to picks. So the lads that were making a few quid on track now aren't making a few quid on track because they're probably not top of the tree in terms of ability, let's say. And yeah, so drones have had an impact in terms of track players. I just think as a whole, Betfair is on the way down in getting money on, liquidity, etc., etc. Yes, affordability checks definitely has played a massive part in that. Though recently this week, Betfair have changed their policy on affordability checks. I don't know if this is an exclusive, a Barstew's exclusive, because I had an email about it. I don't know if other people's got an email about it, but basically Betfair are now doing it on net deposits, not gross deposits. In other words, so if you're in profit on the account, you're not going to fall foul of their stupid bot that says you've deposited a few quid, you've got a gambling problem. Because if you're in front, they're not going to bother you. That's the whole. So that's a plus for anyone that. I don't know if anyone knew that. So that is a plus. So, Chris, like I said, I don't think Betfair is sort of. I don't think there's a problem with him running to a degree. I just think the liquidity is less. You have to lessen your horizons. Like for me now, if I play him running, instead of asking for 1,000 on one, I might ask for 200 or 300 on one, and that's just how it is because you're just going to sit there in system, and and everyone stares at it, and that's it. So it is becoming a bit of a waste of time. But what's killed it, I just think general people going skin liquidity, everything's just taking a natural progression. So that's the way it is. Do you agree with that, John?
Entirely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, the way of the game. Right, next question. It is another betting sort of question, really. It's from Frankie on the blower. He's very, very good with on Twitter. Very active. That's what we like. Plenty of questions on Twitter. And he said, if you were any good at gambling on the horses, how would you manage to get enough money on to make a living when accounts get restricted so easily, John?
Well, I think it's very difficult these days. I mean, you probably need to get on side with a bookmaker that looks after you a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, there are bookies out there that'll sort of cuddle a winning account occasionally. I have known them. They'll look after you price-wise, and basically you're marking their card, and they're quite like that. More often than that as well, if you're in with a particular stable, they do choose to look after a few people from the sort of get to know from the bigger yards, things like that, Other than that, I mean, you're going to struggle unless you do it all through Betfair, really. And let's be fair, a lot of people are doing it through Betfair, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's become decidedly tricky. I've used commission agents. I do have someone trying to get me on at the moment each day, which is a help. Obviously, I never get what I want, but it's better than nothing. Obviously, everyone knows I run a tipping service. Shameless plug there. Systembet.co.uk. Join now. Anyway, but yeah, so it's and that sort of helps with sort of finances and stuff in terms of just everything really. Because the thing is, people say, "Oh, why do you give bets out if you're so good? Why do you sell tips?" For the very reason that a lot of the tips, and I'm being honest, that I can't get on. Well, I cannot get on. And like I said, sometimes I can get on with commission agents. Sometimes, like you say, John, you might nibble away on Betfair for a few quid. It literally is like that. There's Bet Connect now, which I'm also trying. Bet Connect. But again, they only put the markets on at 9 o'clock. That means there's punters that will try and get you on, and they take 2% commission. So Bet Connect, check it out, people. That's not bad. I'm quite impressed so far. You can, you as long as you're not trying to get on like, mid-morning, lunchtime's fine. Get a bet on at 4 to 1, something like that. £200-300, you'll get done, no problem. But if you try and if you try and get on at daft odds at 9 o'clock in the morning, you're probably not gonna get much done. But that's the way the world it is. It's very difficult, and I must admit that my income from the game is not what it was in the glory days. That's just how it is. We've got to get used to it until something changes. Everyone's hoping for this utopia of a BHA exchange, John. Where it's 2%, all the profit goes to racing. They don't ban winners. They don't give premium charges. They just take 2% and slap it all into racing, John. What do you say to that?
So it should have been set up 15 years ago, but they lacked the will and the savvy to do it, didn't they?
Imagine a BHA exchange with 2% commission that's all going. In fact, I'll even up it. I reckon if you said, right, 3.5%, everyone would happily pay it. There's no premium charge, there's no restrictions, no affordability checks, no nothing. Just the entire lot of commission just goes straight into racing. Wow, what a formula that is.
You'd blow Betfair out the water straight away, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but I mean, and BHA have got the power to do it because obviously
Yeah.
news travels fast, and the BHA could get the bods to build it and get the technology behind it and get it done. They've got the cash, get it done. BHA.
They don't have the work ethic, like, or the will. That's the problem.
No. And that basically, sorts racing out. Sorts racing's funded without bookmaker intervention, starting at 9 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. Anyway, we'll move. That's another subject. We'll probably discuss that more on Sunday about the current state of affairs with racing and the number of meetings, etc. It's a good start to the show on Sunday, and I've got a good little bit of info from Nick Davis to start the show on Sunday as well. So let's say it's a good show. Right, next question. Thoughts, please, on having a de Bonneville de Souza Hands of Stone award for the worst rider of the week job. That's from Lorne Marvo, Chris Dedman, our guest on Sunday.
I think it's an excellent idea. I really do. I mean, all the time you say these smoke-blowing exercises where ride of the week, ride of the month, all the rest of it. And, I mean, I wouldn't say 9 out of 10 rides are stinkers, but you see an awful lot more stinkers than you do rides of the week.
Yeah.
And I think Mr. Dedman as well has picked 2 crackers there with Divine de Souza. Because I don't know if you've seen Sil today on that one of Stouties, but he was itching to give up 2.5 hours, and then when he sort of half dropped his hands and let the horse drift inside, it started running on. He ended up showing himself up a bit, really, because he gave it a couple of cracks and it was never nearer than the finish. Appalling ride, because he let the horse drift back on the crown of the bend turning in. I rate it to yard on the downgrade, and these horses aren't making the progress that they used to make, but my God, that should have won the minute today, I thought.
I mean, it's regarding Nico, it's fair enough. I think everyone acknowledges Nico has regressed quite considerably as a jockey. But do you think age is playing a part now with Sil?
It could be. I mean, he's never been one I've been thrilled to back in a middle distance race that's required a bit of savvy.
No.
Jump and go jobs wrong subtle, yes, all day long. I'll back him. But you get in these other races, well, you need to think about things a bit of finesse. And he seems to come up sadly lacking, I'm afraid.
I think if I were King Power, I'd be looking for someone for next season. I think.
Oh yeah.
Let's still go back to Beverley and blast round 7 furlongs round there in front, and let the punters be happy again.
He's tailor-made for the screaming kill, didn't he? Really,
yeah.
You can pension Joe Fanning off at last. I mean, he want to get another 5 or 6 years out of his retirement, wouldn't he? I mean, he's 77 now, and he must be ready for putting his feet up, old Joe. So I mean, why not? Put Sil with his ideal partner.
That's a good shout. We talked about, like, if you think about marriages and stuff and what works and what doesn't work, like how de Souza has not been Johnston's main jockey for instead of jockeys that Johnston's choosing. Johnston's like Nicky Henderson, picks all absolute,
He's a bit like Andrew Baldwin, isn't he? He likes to work with one hand tied behind his back.
It's weird.
The only difference being he likes his horses on the front end, so he gives himself a massive advantage there.
Yeah.
But as regards the jockeys he picks, dear God,
Yeah. That's a good shout. De Souza, King Power to get rid of De Souza to Johnston's, and then King Power to get, somebody that probably is more deserving of that job, that could probably do a better job. Suggestions, listeners. Who would you pick? Who would you pick for King Power's job? That'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on that. Right, final question before we get on to our pink button section, where you can all cross out these selections that me and John will cook with this weekend. And it's from John Swarfiga Nolan again. I've let him have 2 questions because I did laugh at this. And he said, if you lock King Kong, Brian Meehan, the Ginger Hitler, Fred West in a cell, who would be the last man standing, John?
Well, the temptation would be to never open the cell again and keep all 4 under secure lock and key initially. I would venture to suggest that if you put them all in a cell, Brian Meehan would definitely try to shag the other 3. He wouldn't be taking any prisoners, you know. I mean, I think the dick drives the bus with Brian, definitely.
Yeah.
Ginger Hitler might be worth a $5 at a long price, you know.
He gets nasty, John, doesn't he?
He can get quite savage at times. So I think he could be a sporting bet on an outsider, I think.
Yeah, so John's fiver is on Ginger about 8 if he were pricing it up. Yeah. But he'd like to see the Ginger Hitler get nasty. To be honest, I would like every listener that listens to this show to see the Ginger Hitler get nasty. I've seen it once or twice. I've seen him teetering once or twice, and he can get really. He's an angry little man, but he's funny. He's hilarious.
We need to post a video on YouTube or something.
We do. We need video evidence is needed for this, and I think that is great sport. Anyway, we'll come on to now to the selections part of the show. And for those of you that's fast forwarded, you're good judges listening to nonsensical questions from our listeners and our stupid answers. Anyway, on to the selections. 2:15 at Sandown when the kick off. It is the Coral Scurry Stakes, the listed event for the 5 furlongs there. Forecast fast ground. It looked fairly quick there at Sandown today. And favourite is the Marco Botti trained Atalis Bay. It's 7-4, John. Any view in this?
This very much reminds me of Imperial Cup Day at Sandown because it's like the prelude to the Cheltenham Festival, isn't it? Yeah. And then we've got the weekend before Ascot. And anybody that's got anything worthwhile, they keep them for Ascot, aren't they? You know?
Yeah.
And this 2:15 race, for what it's worth, I'm chucking in with Dense Star. I think this one's come down in the weights a nice bit, and that's mainly through racing on rotten ground. I think it can show the benefit of coming back on a firm surface here, and I think the price rewards the speculative punt, shall we say?
Big price, 25-1. Stuart Williams, David Egan, Mishriff, Jockey takes the ride. Star Spangled Banner filly there for John. I don't understand though why Atalis Bay is as big as 7-4. Right? I mean, hear me out here. I mean, this horse has done nothing but progress. And if anyone watched York last time, I mean, that was some run. I mean, Winter Power that won that listed race is 5-1 for the King's Stand. 5-1 for the King's Stand. Atalis Bay was 3 lengths back in second, and it was 5 back to the third, Dexter Bell, which I know that Kevin Ryan's holding quite high regard. They definitely think she's listed class, without a doubt. And I just think, is this horse very progressive? Because he won nicely on his reappearance at Nottingham. Obviously not beating much, but won nicely. I just felt that he ran very well and he was strong to the line. And I didn't think this was a great race for a listed contest. And I just felt that 7-4 at Atalis Bay was a very, very big price. However, there is a caveat. Marco Botti, the trainer, is not in very good form at all. And I think that's why it is 7-4. But it's a price, I'll be honest, that I am prepared to take. Because if it's 7-4 in the morning and there's cash around, because I think this horse is definitely length of two, maybe more better than these. And I just think that that's very fair enough for me. So Tarlis Bay for me. And if you like your prices, John with a nice selection there, thinking that Den Star wants a little bit better ground at a massive 25 to 1. So good start from us there, a favourite and a rag. We move on to the second television race at Sandown, which is the 250. It is the 1 mile Play Coral Racing Super Series for free, no thanks, handicap. And King's Knight is the 3 to 1 favourite for Charles Hills. John, have you any view here?
Yeah, I thought Dog made a reasonable sort of comeback when he ran at Newmarket behind Turntable. And I thought gave quite a bit of hope, actually. Back down to just a pound higher than its last winning mark. The 3-year-old season was a little bit of a write-off, really. Horse never really looked right to me. But I felt he probably got a bit more shape to him this year when I seen him at Newmarket. So I think he could have a reasonable season, this horse at 4, and I would expect him to get his season back on track here, really, and go pretty close.
Really interesting selection, that, John, because the connections have clearly felt on numerous occasions that the horse does not want soft ground at all. It's been withdrawn a total of 4 times on soft ground or heavy ground, and they ran it obviously on off the break. They ran it on officially good to soft at Newmarket, and basically it ran okay. It was a fair enough reappearance. So I just think it's quite interesting. Maybe there is a lot more to come on quicker ground. They obviously think it's a quick ground horse, so I think that's an interesting selection. That's priced at 11 to 2, I believe, best price for Dogged or Dogged, David Ellsworth and David Probert. My selection in the race is Repertoire of David Simcox, a trainer you like, John, because he puts everything out the back of the telly. And I'm not, and you're thinking, what do I want to back that for around this gas pit? But yeah, I mean, you're right there. He does put everything out the back of the telly. That's the one bugbear. But I'll make a good case for this. On reappearance, Repertoire was over the mile at Ascot, obviously a better track to run held up than, say, Sandown. But the pace was really slow. The leader was second. The one that was tracking the pace won the race. It was a farce of a race, complete farce. And this horse was basically out the back, kept on best of the held up runners under Grace Mac and Cheese, and you know, I thought it ran a blinder, absolute blinder to finish third. Next time it was softer ground at Newbury, 7 seconds slower than standard. So the official good to soft was absolute rubbish. It's by bated breath, and I just think that Repertoire's got a lot more to come. But like you say, John, with Simcox, it's annoying.
I've got a rule of thumb pamphlet coming out in the new year, and one of these rules of thumb will be only back Simcox at Ascot and Donny.
You're right. Only thing that attracted me were the odds. Was like 11 to 1. And you're sort of praying for a decent pace. You're praying they go a good gallop, and it gets a run, it gets a trip. And I think the 11 to 1 then looks big.
I'm so depressed watching Simcox operate at the minute. I mean, there's that Eltham Place that I put down in my tracker at the start of the year, and I think it's run about 5 times now. In small fields with no pace on the all-weather, and once on the grass where I think there were 6 runners. And it's been dropped out the back of the telly every time. And it's getting so well handicapped. I'm even thinking of doing me John Dunlop trick and ringing the trainer and saying if it's for sale.
I mean, I mean, it's right. It's a banging angle at the tails. You know, anything that's held up out the back of the telly on bad tracks because trainers just do it all the time. You're right to spot this. But anyway, repertoire.
They've got a handicap for you, haven't they?
Yeah. I mean, repertoire for me is one to follow for listeners because if you notice, say tomorrow he gets a held up trip, finishes well into 5th or 4th, you'll know on a better straight course track, repertoire is probably one to stick your granny's pearls on. No, don't do that. That's not gambling commission advice. But anyway, right, that's me and John done at Sandown. Repertoire for me there, and dogged or dogged for John. I like dogged better than
yeah, he dogged it.
Than dog. Yeah. Right, we'll go to Chester for their one and only TV race, which is the 320, the 1 mile. It's the extended 1 mile 4 furlong handicap, Class 2 event, 0 to 100 affair. Current favourite is Classic Lord at around the 4 to 1 mark. John, any view on this?
Yeah, love this. The one I've come up with is Man of Riddles. Yeah, I know. The front end gasol are all gasols.
Yeah, you've just been slagging me off for that.
Yeah, I know. When I went through this race, I thought, well, there's the Screaming Kilt there with 3 in this. Is he stupid enough? Well, of course he is. Also, you've got Rafe and Ralph there with one with blinkers first time. So that's going to get gingered up as well, isn't it?
Yeah, 2 sets of blinkers for Rafe.
And then you've got Andrew Baldwin sending out an inexperienced jockey in William Cox, telling him how important it is to stay handy at Chester. Yeah. So that leaves the cold, calculating, clinical mind of Jamie Spencer and his mentor, David the Simcock. And we know what's going to happen here. He's going to drop him out. And basically, we're taking 11 to 2 about a pace collapse, aren't we?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
Well, I mean, Man of Riddles, you know, he won his maiden at Wolves, and then obviously they thought enough of him to have a go at the listed race.
But look what the ran him on though, as well. I mean, it's septic tank, both sides of the pedigree.
Absolutely, Temple City Nerev. It's a complete dirt pedigree, really.
Yeah, it's running on the slush at Goodwood.
Fair point.
So I mean, quicker ground around here. You'll think it's running around the American track anyway because of the dimensions of Chester.
Like Great Lakes Downs, the bull ring.
You know, give it a hot dog or something before it goes out, and away you go.
No, I can't fault your reasoning there in terms of pedigree, but as I said, you've got the pain of hoping you're praying for something to go blast off. And Johnston, like you say, Johnston might do, and like you say, William Cox. Well, Johnston's 3 in.
Well, this is it. You see, you've got Johnston always trying, right? So I mean, if you won one of Johnston's, you were going to say, well, I'm not going to be the one that's sitting back. You're not letting your other toe have an easy leg, Johnston, you know. Not at 90 quid a day or whatever, you know, so... no, I mean, you're going to want them competing, aren't you? So...
Yeah, you've made a good case for that 11 to 2. It's probably a slightly stronger case than mine, which is side shot of John Gosden's, that I just felt that, again, they ran it on slot last time behind Classic Lord.
Yeah.
And I don't, Oasis Dream on damn side, there was 0 pedigree. Frankels aren't known to want soft ground as a rule. And I just think this horse hasn't had many chances on sort of decent surface. When you look at that Kempton race that Dancing King won off 79, Dancing King is now rated 97.
Yeah.
Side shot was second. Wallen ran since, but look what it was 4th to. Mahafa.
Uh-huh.
You know, that's a very, very strong piece of form. And I just, that is strong form. I don't the way that sort of Frankels will progress as well, I think side shot is underrated at 5 to 1. And stall 3's a nice draw. Probably get a decent handy-ish ride. Sort of sit. They'll never lead will the Gosden lot, but they'll sit probably third or fourth. I just thought that was one that probably get a safer trip than yours. I'm not saying it probably beat yours, but I think it gets a safer trip. And Side Shot was my choice at 5-1. Each way a pleasure. So that's me and John done for Sandown and Chester, thankfully. And now we go to your 4 television races, starting with the Queen Mother Cup for the female amateur jockeys. Spectacle over 1.5 miles. It's kind of a famous race, this, John. Queen Mother's Cup. You know, I always knew this as a youngster, and I kind of reminisce about this race. A lot of decent horses have won this race in the past, but this year's renewal, I don't think really does it justice.
Well, you have old Spit and Mix prowling round the parade ring, won't you, before, during and after the race, especially if one of his relatives is a winning jockey, because he'll be wanting 3 bottles of champagne and all the rest of it, and a free ice cream from Charlotte.
Yeah, he will. Yeah. I mean, Byron Flyer's the 4-1 joint favourite with Civil Law. That I can't. If Brian runs that, I'll be astonished. But it won today at York, and obviously it's a horse I like. And it's just I don't know why you'd run it with a £5 penalty, but. It's Brian Elephant, so I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do, but I'd be surprised if he ran it.
I think there's every chance of it running.
I know.
This race, I was joking about Spit and Mick to a certain extent, but these lads do tend to make a bit of a meal of this race, and I have noticed that the new training partnership, Michael and David, that's a hell of a meeting of minds, by the way, isn't it? You know, my God, they're running one that's been off about 4 years. Fly Me to the Stars for Midland Park, the delightful Midland Park crew. But the one I was interested in was Samim, and I was very interested in this. I think Thick Dave has had his hand in this because he's ridden this a couple of times when it was with James Tate. So I think this is a horse that's better known to Tim than it would appear for only having 2 runs for him. And I think they've done a bit of research here and brought this along very, very steadily. Massively in need of the run at York at the Dante meeting. And then the week before last, behind the unlucky at the Dante meeting, Fishable, given a very nice, easy race, was beaten half as far as it was at the Dante meeting, looked as different again physically, will have come on for that again, 8-1, each way the dead age. This is solid.
You've sold me on that. That's a great bit of reasoning. You've sold me. I love it. And like you said, the Easterbys love this. And Serena's on the Serena's on the one of Ian Williams's Byron Flyer, so Mick will still get his champagne if Serena wins. So on. But yeah, I mean, Samim, that's a great case because. You know, Tom Tate wouldn't be the household name he probably once was, and it's an interesting stable switch. Like you said, Thick Dave was on it, and he says, "Yeah, buy this or get hold of this. It'll be all right." This, you know, yeah, no, that's a great call, John. I'm staying silent because I'm quite impressed with the reason there. So well done, John. Samim, yeah, I'm in agreement with John. We like that one. We'll move on to the 235. It's the 7 furlong JCB handicap. Big tractor race, and it's 4-1 favourite Dazzling Dan for the 7 furlong handicap. John, any view on this?
Do you know, I get one rate on this 7 furlong course at York every 5 years or so, and I'm about due actually. The one I like is National League. It ran pretty well at Redcar on very quick ground, 3 runs back. Since then, it's run on allegedly good ground at Newbury. I think it was slower than that myself. And then it ran on good to soft at Chester, behind Broughton Speyer. I think getting back on quick ground, it's got a bit of potential off 86, and I can see it running well. It's got a decent draw as well in the 5 box, but I'm not massive on it.
No, it's an horse, obviously, 18 starts, 2 wins, third to Duesenberg off 83, second to Daniel's Fly off 83 early season, and obviously comes off 86. This wouldn't be the hottest race I've ever seen for York, but as we've been talking about recently, a lot of these handicaps away from the big festival meetings, and even the festival meetings, Newmarket were disappointed with their handicaps. Epsom were disappointed with their handicaps. I mean, this, it's worrying times. I do think whether we're selling good horses abroad, I don't know, but it just seems the lack of quality on offer. I mean, so much so, John. I like Admiralty in here. Roger Fell's horse, Jason Hart rides, 9-1 chance. The case I was making was it took a couple of spins last year for him to get into form. And he's got form over this course and distance. Second off 89 in July last year, off 88 today, and I just felt that was they ran it for a spin last time over 6 on the soft. Never going to win that, and it's quite well drawn. I just thought Admiralty, would definitely play a part in this. It's just like an each way call really at 9-1. So Admiralty for me, National League for John, kind of a race. You might want to get some pace involved for that race. We move to the 305, which is the Sky Bet race to the Ebor Grand Cup Stakes listed race. John, 9-4 favourite is Maccawi, the mare that loves it round here, or seems to always run a race round here. Thoughts?
I'm disappointed about this race, to be honest, because, and you'll know the reasoning behind this. Roberto Escobar, our friend from Ascot, you remember I pointed out to you after the race, this thing was on the wrong leg all the way.
Yeah.
Round the turn in and up the straight at Ascot, and I thought, I want this back at York on fast ground in the Aber, and I'll have my knackers on it off 103.
Yeah.
And he's going to piss up here, and it'll be 110 after tomorrow. And that'll scupper my Aber bet, so I'm a bit pissed off.
Right. I sort of share you said, because the first thing I looked for, I thought Roberto Escobar, decent quick ground, back to the scene of the crime where a track he likes. I know it's over further, but he wants further. Like you said, he's your Ebor horse.
Yeah.
And then, do you know what disappointed me more than anything? The fact that I'm forced to break, or I might be forced to break betting rules to betting, because if you look, Roberto Escobar, rated 103, 9 stone, Maccawi, who loves it round here, she runs her races. She's just tough mare, and she's 105 rated, 8 stone 9. So also already at the weights, you are £7 wrong with Maccawi.
Yeah.
So you're having to back a horse at nearly the same price at the moment, 9-4 Maccawi, 5-2 Roberto Escobar, and we're having to back a horse that's £7 wrong. If this were a handicap, we'd be £7 better off. And already I'm starting to be turned off by wanting to take, that, because it's against all betting common sense. After the race, if the mare beats you by a neck, you go, well, it's there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's not a bet, is it? I mean, well, that's what I can say happening. I can say this poncing up. You know, I mean, I don't feel compelled to bet it.
No.
Because of factors that you mentioned. But I'd be the least surprised person on the nerves matter if this went and won with its head in its chest, because I think it's a really good house in the making.
I agree, and we were all over it last time. It was a bastard special for our listeners, if you remember. We went bastards, but we couldn't believe it. Me and John both agreed. And as I said, I think we're both a bit sad for different reasons in a way. John mainly because he was hoping that this would be laid out for the EBO, and me for the reason that I have to break betting rules that I don't usually do. You know,
I wish he'd stuck it away till August. You know. Second run off a wind up, you know.
I think the problem is he's got group aspirations. I think that's.
He wants to crack on, doesn't he? Which you can understand.
I don't think he wants the EBO. I think he wants bigger things. I think that's the tip in itself.
Yeah.
William Agus wants to win bigger stuff with it, and otherwise you wouldn't run in this. It's pointless.
No, I mean I think this is going to be up there with like his Coronation Cup house and other ones like that in the yard.
Yeah.
Ella Rab and I think this is going places.
No, high confidence from us, but we both love Roberto Escobar as a horse. So we'll let you listeners decide what you want to do here, but we've lined out our reasons what we think here. We'll move on to the final race of the day, which is the 340, the very competitive, always used to the Coral Sprint Cup, the 3-year-old 6 furlong handicap, now the Pavers Foundation Catherine Memorial Sprint handicap. Favourite is Skyrunner of William Haggis, 11-2. John, thoughts here?
Yeah, I remember when this was the Coral Sprint, and I think Sheikh Albadou won it. I was a guest of Coral's for lunch, and the starter was fish in aspic.
I love it. I love the detail you remember.
And it was like King Neptune had a kidney problem and pissed on some fish. It was absolutely shocking. That's my biggest recollection of the whole Farrago with Corals. I wasn't asked back. And I actually took a well-known jockey a couple of smoked salmon sandwiches downstairs as well, because he was doing late on the Sunday as well in France, and he had nothing to eat all day, and I was smuggling smoked salmon sandwiches out in my pocket.
Why have I got this vision of like is it Dan Aykroyd in Trading Places? Being part of the Christmas suit with salmon sticking out of his
that type of thing,
So anyway, we'll get back to the tipping.
Anyway, back to the tipping. I just thought International Dream wasn't handicapped completely out of it and was worth a token mention with the yard flying like it is at the minute.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not compelled to have a bet there.
It was my nap of the weekend, but I have to also be aware of prices. And my nap of the weekend was First Folio of James Ferguson's, because I thought he won very impressively at Yarmouth on the first switch from La France, and he was very, very impressive. And then against Jumbe, which I think is the most reliable 3-year-old sprint handicap in form going at the moment, he was very unlucky because he got very upset in the stalls. He wasn't happy that day, going berserk, missed the break, on the back foot, had to switch to the stand side, stayed on just as well as the principals. I've handicapped him just as well as the sort of first sort of three home. Not saying he's as good as Jumbe. I'm just saying he probably would have been second or third.
Yeah, you don't have to be as good as Jumbe. Jumbe's pretty lethal and probably goes to Ascot with a fair chance.
Yeah, exactly. So if this is second or third in that, you know, I do think, you know, this would probably go off favourite, which, to be fair, it nearly is. That's my point, that it was bigger. It was sort of around the 9-1 mark. I think punters are coming in for it now, 6-1. Just a special mention for Tim's here, show along. I think physically it is really improving. Do you know what? I fancy this to be his next pip along. Physically, it's the part. It's improving. You can just see it. It's thrive. It's thrive from.
It's a nice horse. It's got a bit of depth, hasn't it?
Yeah, but I was so disappointed. I would be disappointed if our connections are show along, because the handicapper whooped it up £7 for Chester. I thought it was very, very harsh, really harsh. Because I know there was 4 back to the third, but it wasn't the best of races, and I just felt that's not what you need at this moment in time. So that just might catch it out just for now. But I'm not saying it won't be 100 horse in time, because I think it will. I think it's progressive, and if you fancy show along, I wouldn't put anyone off that's listening tonight that does fancy show along. So, but yeah, first folio for me is my nap, and show along is certainly, if you fancy it, don't be put off, because I do like the horse. But it's a shame it went up 7 for Chester, because I thought that was quite harsh. So just to recap, don't forget Sunday we've got a very, very good sermon.
Get your Swarfeger and your fruit pastels ready.
Yeah, Swarfeger in your waders. Get ready for some sirens. We'll make some sirens happen on Sunday, and some very good guests, and also our best anti-post bets, and a good judge in Nick Davis is going to give us his best also for Royal Ascot. So don't miss Sunday's show. I hope you enjoyed this show tonight. Have a great week, great Saturday's bets anyway, and we'll see you Sunday evening. Bye for now.